Hello, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prom Sports World. And we are officially, 17 days away from the start of the National Basketball League, the start of the 2023-2024 NBA season. And we want to continue to give you our season previews of every team in the NBA before the season starts. We're going to get back on that bandwagon talking about the Southwest Division. I didn't change that graphic, but I will. We're on the Southwest Division 2023-2024 preview. We're going to talk about the Dallas Mavericks, Rockets, Memphis Grizzlies, New Orleans Pelicans, and the San Antonio Spurs. Of course, I'm your host, David On Point Huppin. Right there is my co-host, Mr. TJ Hopkins. Happy Saturday, TJ. Hopefully you had a very nice breakfast with your family before jumping on the pod.
Yeah. All good, all good.
Yeah, love to hear it, man. Love to hear it. I woke up this morning, man. It was really cold here in Fort Wayne. I don't know what it's like there in the Chicagoland area, but, man, it was freezing here.
Yeah, about the same. Not the same.
Like I literally woke up and I was shivering. I'm like, man, what happened overnight? It was tough. Without wasting any further time, let's get right into the previews. Let's talk first about the Memphis Grizzlies. Obviously, their starters, Ja Morant, Desmond Bane. Ja Morant does have an asterisk on there. He's suspended for the first 25 games for a violation of the personal conduct code for the NBA. John Conchar, Triple J, Steven Adams. There's key reserves. Obviously, the biggest name there is Marcus Smart, Derrick Rose. Key additions in the offseason for this team. Head coach is Taylor Jenkins, 51-31 last season, the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. Let's talk about some storylines when it comes to the Memphis Grizzlies.
One is the talking. Like, again, I don't mind certain teams talking, but the teams that have talk or do talk, they always back it up. So, like, Golden State, if Golden State want to talk trash, the Golden State can talk trash. They've been the best team of the last decade, or last 5 years, rather. No, decade. I said
decade.
I said the right first. I said the right first time.
We can give them the whole decade. They got five rings. I mean,
yeah. So yeah, if they want to talk trash, they can do that. Teams like Memphis can talk trash, but again, you gotta back it up. Like, part of the reason why we'll get to another storyline with Dylan Brooks is out because he ran his mouth, and Dylan Brooks' play then back up the trash talking that he was spewing out. The whole "I poke bears" and all this other stuff. I'm gonna need you to shoot more than 30% from 3, since you talking about you poke bears, bruh. Obviously, the biggest storyline is how can they man this ship without Ja Morant for the first 25 games? That's a lot of games.
Yeah, and I think it's important that they've added Marcus Smart to this roster because I think a lot of that stuff, because one of the bigger storylines, is the maturity factor of this roster. There's been a lot of questions about, them on and off the court, about the maturity level of this team. But you add a guy who's a Marcus Smart, a guy who's a leader, a proven guy, a grit and grind guy. I think he's going to be really good for this roster. And I think he's going to be the guy who's probably going to have to be the team to hold this team afloat while Ja Morant is out. Derrick Rose, too, is going to play, a considerable role. And he's already seemed to be having some sort of impact on this team already with his just, the mentoring of Ja Morant. I think that's how they navigate these 25 games. Yes, it's a lot. Is going to be key to see how this team's success.
But I also think the thing that's being missed in all of this is they also getting the key big reserve back, and that's Brandon Clark. They lost Brandon. They went without Brandon Clark the whole season last year, and now you got him back. Now everybody can slide back into their natural spot. So Brandon Clark goes back to probably being that six man spot.
I mean, him and Luke Kennard, Derrick Rose, so one of those guys, yeah. And Xavier Tillman, I think, showed out pretty well in the playoffs. Brandon Clark actually isn't even on their depth chart on ESPN.com, which is strange.
But it's listed, like, when you Google him, he's.
I'm sure he's still on the team. He's on their active roster. They just don't have him on a depth chart, which is strange. Probably because he hasn't been activated off of whatever injury reserve list.
He tore his Achilles, and so obviously when you get him back, that definitely helps, because I think one of the things that hurt them last season was the lack of front court depth. Like, if Jaren Jackson got in foul trouble, it was Steven Adams and a bunch of nothing.
I mean, Steven Adams missed a lot of the last season. Like, he didn't even play a lot of games, so he was unavailable for majority. Like, when this team kind of fell apart down the stretch there, Steven Adams was out of their roster rotation.
So it's like it was a lot of Santi Aldama, and it's like, okay, like Xavier Tillman, solid dude, but nah.
Yeah, he's not really a needle mover, somebody you can expect to really kind of, fill up the stat sheet. Let's talk best and worst case scenarios for this team. I think the best case scenario for this team is they make a Western Conference Finals appearance. I think the worst case is I think they could become a play-in team if they don't navigate the Ja Morant suspension in the West way. Having 25 games that just go completely south can tank your season.
Yeah, and how you handle those first 25 games until Ja Morant comes back is crucial. Like, if you go, like, obviously, like, the goal is to be above 500, but if you're at 500 when Ja Morant comes back, then that's not a total loss. Don't get me wrong. Like, the Western Conference is gonna be, it's still a gauntlet, still gonna be tough. You went 51-31 with Ja Morant going through what he did last season. And obviously, like, that's the bigger storyline, like, not just the 25 games, but Ja Morant himself. Like, when he comes back, are you going to show that the behavior has changed? Because you can't blame nobody but yourself. Like the thing that irked me when he was going through that whole saga was it was folks out there defending him like, oh, like the league out to get him, not at all. Like, no, John Morant's an idiot and he's acting like an idiot. And the one thing that people need to understand is the league goes on. The
Yeah.
league don't like the league does not need John Morant the
Yeah,
way
it's
he
true.
need the league.
It's true. Moving on from the Memphis Grizzlies, talk about the New Orleans Pelicans. Obviously, the key stars there: CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Herb Jones, Zion Williamson. At this point, is not injured yet. Jonas Valanciunas, obviously the starting center. Key reserves: Jose Alvarado, Dyson Daniels. They are head coached by Willie Green. They were 42-40 last season. I think they got eliminated in the play-in tournament. In the play-in tournament last season. Let's talk about some storylines when it comes to New Orleans.
I think the big
And
one.
I think I just touched on it, right? The health of Zion Williamson.
Health of Zion Williamson. Like,
I mean, this
like
Brandon Ingram too, but to a lesser extent, because at one point last season they were the number one. Goes down, and they just basically fall apart.
Yeah, but it's they're a different team with Zion. Like it's this in some way, shape, or like in some way, like he's this unguardable. Like I don't know what it is. Like you would think a dude that's only what 6'7" on a good day at the power forward spot would be, you can contain him, you can guard him, but he's so damn strong. And when he get the ball, it's almost like a supercharge. Like he's that much stronger, and you just can't do nothing with him. Obviously, again, it's the health. Like he can't hurt you wearing street clothes.
Yep.
So it's them. It's like this is a team that could, like, they get what you call it. They get NBA Finals buzz when they're fully healthy, because they got. It's like they got the perfect combination of everything. Like and they long. All they key dudes is long. CJ McCollum long. Brandon Ingram long. Herbert Jones long. Trey Murphy the third
real long.
Like Dyson Daniels long.
And they're bringing some players off their bench. I mean, Larry Nance Jr. has been a guy who's been in the finals. Najee Marshall's a solid role player. Trey Murphy III could take a major leap this season from last season. Dyson Daniels also could have a big time jump from his season 1 to season 2. And Jose Alvarado just is a passed on defense. This is a really good roster.
And the one constant, Jonas Valanciunas, 19-9. You know what you're gonna get from him. Night in and night out, 19-9, and he's solid. So obviously, I think best case scenario for them, you up that 42 wins by 8. You get your first 50-win season, and God knows how long. I can't remember the last time the Pelicans.
It's got to be when the Chris Paul was there, when they were still at Charlotte, when they were still the New Orleans Hornets.
Oh wait, no. AD and Boogie didn't win 50 games?
I don't think so, because they only really played one season together. And he tore the Achilles. I don't think they got to 50 wins.
Rondo, AD, and was it Rondo? Yeah, Rondo, AD, and Drew. They ain't win 50 games.
I don't think so, man. I'm
like, man, like, because I know they had some lean years under with AD at the helm, but at the same time, like, hey,
I don't think that I'm pretty sure they did not make it to the. They did not have 50 wins until like
because that was 2017, 2018. The closest they got was 48. They went 48-34 because they swept Portland.
Yeah.
And then they got 4-1 by Golden State.
They went 48-34, and then the last time they were a 50-win team was 07-08, and Chris Paul was on that team. And then they went 49-33 the season after that, and then they kind of fell off a little bit after that point. They did have 47 wins in 02-03. I'm actually going to take this a step further. I think this is a team that actually could make it to the Western Conference Finals. And I know we just talked about the Memphis Grizzlies being another team that could potentially go to the Western Conference Finals, but this team is healthy. I think they have the making of a roster that could be a team that makes it to the Western Conference Finals. I'm talking if everybody stays healthy.
If everybody stays healthy,
best case scenario.
not everybody stays healthy. I think they still come up short because you got a bunch of dudes on that team that they've never been that far. So at some point in time, the moment is going to get too big for them. Pressure does two things: it either bursts pipes or it makes diamonds. And yeah, the moment's going to be too big. They're going to run into a team that's been there because that's usually what happens as the playoffs progress. You run into teams that have been to the second round, they've been to the third round, they've been to the finals, and they show you why they've been that far. So at this point, second round, you're running into a Golden State, a Los Angeles,
Denver,
both Los Angeles, a Denver,
yeah,
a Golden State. Like at some you gonna see one of them four in the second round, barring
or
something crazy.
Dallas Mavericks team that went to the Western Conference Finals
Or
2 years ago.
Or Dallas, like barring something crazy.
But yeah, I think worst case scenario, I think they're a play-in team, kind of where they were last season. Yeah.
Yeah. Worst case scenario. Wait, you said worst case scenario, they playing again?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't. I don't see them falling any further than that. Moving on from this, we got the Dallas Mavericks, one of the more disappointing teams of the last season, as they failed to even make the play-in last year, and kind of did a weird low-key tank job towards the end in order to preserve that top 10 pick for them. Obviously, their starting lineup is Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Grant Williams. Olivier Maxime Prosper is going to be the starting power forward, according to ESPN.com. I'm not sure about that. And then Derek Lively is their starting center, also a rookie. Key reserves: Tim Hardaway, Jaden Hardy, Josh Green, Maxi Kleber. They're obviously head coached by Jason Kidd. They were 38-44 last season. This is one of the most disappointing teams in the NBA last year. They've also had Steph Curry in free agency.
I'm just gonna say this: like, there is no way in hell I see those two young dudes starting over Markieff Morris or Dwight Powell at that power forward in the spot.
I gotta be straight up honest with you. Markieff Morris is washed. He has nothing left to give.
Says you. Says you. Like
no disrespect, but I don't think Markieff Morris has anything left in the tank.
Says you. So yeah,
when was the last time Markieff Morris even played like legitimate basketball?
Well, he took that shot to the back from Joker again with the Heat,
two years ago,
and that was a dirty shot. You don't know what that did to him.
It was dirty, yes.
You don't know what that like. You don't know the ramifications.
I can see a scenario where Tim Hardaway Jr. starts as small forward and Grant Williams is their starting small power forward, and then they start Dwight Powell at the center of Maxi Kleber.
No, they would definitely
or Sean Holmes. You know, he's on this roster too.
They would definitely start. You got, like, if you're J Kidd, you got to start Dwight Powell. You got to start the guys that's been there. You got unless you want to go real big and then you slide Lively to the 4 and Powell to the 5. Either way, Dwight Powell is going to be in that starting lineup. Like the ESPN.
I agree with you on that. I think Dwight Powell's coming off an injury, which is probably why they don't have him in the starting lineup. But I don't really know that for sure. But yeah, they got two rookies in their starting lineup. I had to look up who Olivier Maxime Prosper even was, because I was like, man, this guy's going to start.
No, he's not going to start. Like, he might start a game if somebody get hurt, but he ain't finna start. Obviously, like when you make the trade that they did for Kyrie Irving, obviously it didn't go the way that they wanted it to. I don't like the people like Skip Bayless, like, oh, it's not gonna work. Like, you didn't even see them play a game yet, and you already saying it's not gonna work. And then they had the stretch that they did. See, I told you it wasn't gonna work. Damn, can we get a bigger sample size? Like, it was folks claiming that the LeBron Dwayne Wade Heat stuff was not gonna work, and it's just like, see, I told you. But they went to the finals. But they didn't win, so it didn't work. No, they went to the finals and they had zero chemistry. Like, it's give this time. Give J Kidd, Luka, and Kyrie time to literally gel how they want to gel and figure this thing out. Because like you said, like when it got to a point where it's like, hey, we're not winning. Because the bigger thing was like they were scoring a bunch of points, but they were giving up a bunch of points.
Yeah, the offensive end of the basketball court was never
the offense was not the problem.
It was their defensive side of the basketball, because you have Luka and Kyrie, who are not good defenders on this team, and and the reason they were so successful a year prior is because they were an elite defensive basketball team, and that is what propelled them all the way to the Western Conference Finals.
Like Jalen Brunson,
they have Luka Doncic as a guy who could get to the basket whenever he wanted, but you need a guy who's going to be on to be able to stop people. And that's kind of why they got Derek Lively, right? He's a good defensive basketball player. He's kind of that rim stuffer guy, the guy they thought JaVale McGee would be last season, who basically fell out of favor and never was relevant,
Who,
really.
for whatever reason, just didn't right. She's like just who JaVale McGee is 7'2", and he just can't find solid minutes on a roster. And I just think that's asinine. Because like, dude, just go be tall. Just be tall. Like Rudy Gobert is out there stealing money, but JaVale McGee can't stay on somebody's roster. And we'll get to the Minnesota Timberwolves whenever we do the Northwest, and probably do them last because Denver's the champion.
100%.
But it's like, so if you're Dallas, obviously you know what it's like to be successful. You know what it's like. Hey, when we hot, we can hang with the best of them. Like Luka's hot, Kyrie can get hot. Kyrie, we already know, like, you got two of the hottest, like, capable stars in the league. These two dudes can get buckets in a heartbeat. The last thing like, it's one thing for one of them to have it going, and the other one just ride back and like, hey, I'm gonna ride your way. It's a whole hell of another thing if they both hot.
Yeah.
Then teams are gonna be like, damn, now what are we gonna do?
And I also think it'll be interesting to see, like, Grant Williams he's going to have to play a much bigger role on this Dallas Mavericks team than any role he ever had to play in Boston. Like, maybe like let's see how he translates to this bigger role on this Mavericks team. He's going to start for them. He's probably going to be their starting power forward.
Okay, so like my question for him is, what is that bigger role? Like, how do we know it's not the same role that he had in Boston?
Well, let me take a look at his minutes real quick. I mean, his minutes are probably going to increase. His touches are going to increase. They're also going to expect a lot more out of him on the offensive side, along with the defensive side.
The one
hype
thing
him up as being like one of the best defensive players in the NBA.
I just never really saw that. The one thing I didn't like, especially in that Miami series, like I didn't like how Mazzulla tailored his minutes. Like, there was that one game against the Heat where they, like, Boston's like kind of going through the motions, and they needed, and Jimmy Butler's like, he's just killing them, and they needed that spark, and he was the one to come off the bench, and he got him like 2 quick buckets, and then he gets in Jimmy Butler's face, and like that kind of ignited the crowd, and the rest of the team just kind of left them hanging. It's just like, no, like that's, yeah. Like y'all dropped the ball on that one, not Grant Williams.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a guy who played 26 minutes for the Boston Celtics last season in the regular season, played 79 games, started 23. I look for that minutes to jump up to about 30, 33, 34 minutes a night, starting 82 games, in a perfect world. He's averaging 8.1 points a game last season. You look for that to go up to 10 to 15, or even 15 would be super ideal.
Yeah, I was gonna say 12.
Yeah, I mean, that is a considerable jump for a guy who's been a role player that is going to have to be a legitimate contributor to a team that has champion aspirations. Like, I'll be interested.
But here's the thing: like, at the same time, you still, I think while his role is going to increase, I still expect it to be some of the same, because
he's going to be a stand-up, setup shooter guy.
Yeah, because just like in Boston, you had two guys that could combine for 60. You got that here. So you got Luke and Kyrie. They can give you they can combine they can give you a 60 ball between the two of them. So it's just like you said, when Luke and Kyrie, when they break the defense down and they're looking for that kick out option, are you going to be that consistent? What did he shoot from 3 last season?
I just clicked off of it.
Oh, damn, my bad. I thought you left it open.
No, I can get it up in a second, so it doesn't take long. But yeah, I think he's got to be the legitimate knockdown 3-point shooter, and he's proven over his career that he can be that guy. But he's going to have. I think there's going to be an opportunity where he's going to create his own offense as well. And I don't know if he's going to be necessarily best suited for that. He shot basically 40% from the 3-point line last season, 41% the season before that.
Yeah,
he's been a fairly. Yeah, 39.5. He's been a fairly consistent 3-point shooter over the course of his career.
So, but it's not just him though. So it's not just him. Like, we're talking about, like, I raved about how they stole Jaden Hardy in the second round. I raved about that. You remember that? I was big on Jaden Hardy. He was a G League Ignite dude. He was like one of the early guys to like skip college. Like, oh, yeah, I'm going to the G League. I'm doing that program. Like that backup point spot is like it's up for grabs and it's yours. Like Josh Green, you another one. Like you were one and done dude in college. You come into your own, right? Like it's Dante Exum. You're looking to find your footing back into the league. You were showing some
This is probably your last shot at it.
like
So
you were showing some promise, and then ACL, and then you never really recovered from that. It's unfortunate. Sucks. Derek Jones, hey bro, we loved you while you were here. Keep getting them checks. Keep getting
100%.
them checks.
So let's talk best and worst case scenario for the Dallas Mavericks. I think the best case scenario for Dallas is they're ended up in the Western Conference Finals. I know this is 3 teams in a row with all, but I think they could make the Western
No,
Conference Finals.
but
But I
it's like
legitimately
that.
think that the
It's
high
like
end
that.
talent of this roster with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, they could score with anybody. I think it'll be interesting to see what the defense looks like for this basketball team. But Luka and Doncic and Kyrie could carry this team all the way to a Western Conference Finals appearance.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so you get them, and so like you say, best case scenario. So like again, you got two dudes for sure on this team that have been well, and no, Marquise Morris is gone by that. We got two dudes on this team for sure that have been to the highest of. You got Kyrie Irving, who's a champion. Well, three dudes. You got Kyrie Irving, who's a champion. Grant Williams has been to a finals, and Luka Doncic has been to a Western Conference Finals.
I
So
think Marquise Morris might have been on that Clippers team that went to the Western Conference Finals a couple of years ago too.
yeah, oh yeah. You're right. So you got four dudes, and
I mean, Maxi Kleber was on that team that went to the Western Conference Finals 2 years ago. I mean,
yeah,
Josh
matter of
Green was
fact,
all.
Dwight Powell was there too. So you like, but you got, but
Yeah,
you
Josh Green was on that team
so
too.
like
Like
you got guys on this team
Seth
that
Curry, Seth Curry's been on a bunch of teams that have had
us teams
championship
that
aspirations. Yeah, so
it's like you've been on like you got guys that like they know what it takes to win. You have a head coach who's a Hall of Famer and knows what it takes to win. So worst case scenario, like you said, Western Conference Finals, Finals appearance, Luka wins MVP.
yeah, and I
That's
think the worst case scenario is they end up in the play-in. Um, I could see a scenario where the wheels just completely come off of this and
I
everybody
think
gets fired.
I think worst case scenario is yeah, the wheels fall off, but wheels fall off in the worst way possible. Kyrie does Kyrie things. Kyrie,
Yeah,
like it's something going on in the world today. I don't feel like playing ball. Like, yeah, Sergio, a wild card player on this team is Derek Lively. How he gets playing something like you already know J Kidd is an old like J Kidd gonna play if you got talent. Like if you go in, you put your head down, you go to work, J Kidd gonna play because he ain't gonna have no choice but to play.
yeah.
You gotta
Thank you for the question there, Sergio. Yeah, I think he's going to play like 25 minutes a night. Guaranteed.
you gotta make it your mission to be like, hey, you gonna play me.
Yeah.
Like you
Like
you
he looked good in the G or he looked good in summer league for this team. So I think he's going to play about 25, 28 minutes a night on his rookie season. Moving on to the bottom dwellers of this division. First, we start with the Houston Rockets. Made a lot of splash moves in the offseason, signing Fred VanVleet to a big old bag of money, signing Dylan Brooks to a big old bag of money. But their starting lineup is going to be Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Jabari Smith Jr., who really showed out in the summer league, and Alperen Sengun, who was really good for them last season. The key reserves, Amen Thompson. Alperen Sengun is like one of those sneaky picks guy for being like most improved player. I don't think he's going to win it, but I think he will be much improved. Amen Thompson was obviously their first round pick this year. They traded for Reggie Bullock. They got Tarek Eason. Jacques Landale is another guy who they signed. And then all the way down the list here, I got Kevin Porter Jr., who has a massive asterisk next to his name. I did not imagine he will play another game for this. If you know, you know. Otherwise, we're not going to really talk about it here on the show. But yeah, we don't expect him to be part of this roster. At least he'll be here. I don't think he'll play. Ami Udoka, new head coach for this team. They went 22-60 last year as they had the worst record in the NBA last year. Talk about some storylines.
improvement across the board. It's you made moves. Now what's gonna happen? First off, Freddie V, highest paid contract to an undrafted player ever, and until somebody else who's undrafted gets that bag, and yeah, so on and so forth. Obviously, bigger story. I think another storyline. Dylan Brooks is you were basically what you call it. What's the word I'm looking for?
Chased away,
No,
ostracized him.
No, yeah, ostracized. Like you scapegoated. There we go. You
Yeah,
basically
yeah,
scapegoated out of Memphis. They put that whole you dig on you. Like it's your fault we lost. And was it your fault completely? No.
Eh,
Did you play a role? Yeah, you did. Like, bro, again, if you gonna run your mouth, if you gonna talk trash, shoot better than 30% from three. Like there were games against the Lakers where they just left you by yourself and just said, "Hey, oh, like David play ball. You got that." It's always that one dude at the rec where it's like, "Oh, let him shoot. Let him shoot." And if he make it, it's like, "Oh, damn, he made it."
yeah.
Okay, like yeah, it's one of them. Jabari Smith Jr. was I think he was Jabari Smith Jr. was my pick for rookie of the year. Jabari Smith Jr. also played in summer league this past summer, and I hated that. I'm like, dude, you played in like 70 games.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, he balled out. He only played 2 games in the summer league, and he straight up balled out. I think he
I
put up
don't
35. He
care.
put
I
up
don't
35. He put up
care.
30. He put up 35 points in the first game and 38 in the
Don't
second game.
care.
And they were like, "All
Do
right, you
not
know,
do not care.
you don't need to play anymore." Summer
You
league.
do you didn't need to play to begin with. Like do not
I mean, but it's
care,
got to be a
bro.
massive confidence boost. I mean, he kind of had an up and down rookie season, where people were questioning
What
like
but
how good he really
what,
was.
what I will
Like,
say is this. What I will say is this. I love his mentality when he addressed Summer League when they asked him that because they so it's like the same thing. They're like, dude, you played in 70 plus games last season. Why are you in Summer League? Like, dude, we went 22 and 60. Everybody should be here. I'm like, first off, I love that. I
yeah,
love that. I absolutely love it. Like, yes, like Jalen Green, have your ass in Summer League because you like Kevin Porter Jr. You damn near you gonna be looking for a new team too now. Quiet as kept.
Jalen Green, his shot selection at times, but I think that's why you bring in these veterans. I think that's another huge storyline, right? You bring in these veterans, Fred Van Fleet, a guy who's Jock Landale, who's a pretty young player still, but a veteran. You bring in Dylan Brooks, who will give you some tenacity and play some defense and kind of give this team what they don't already have because they don't have like the fire and the energy, and they weren't really playing for Steven Silas very hard. I think that Oyedoka is going to snuff a lot of those
I'm
bad habits out.
Ime Udoka is first off, Ime Udoka feels slighted. Like he got dead wrong by the Boston Celtics because his personal business should have never become public. We should have never known what went down with that. We should have never have known. Like that was none of our damn business. And the fact that y'all fired him and then said why you fired him is wrong. So I made Udoka, he out for blood. Like I hope this is just me personally. I hope when they play Boston them 2 times, I hope they drop. I hope they beat them by 50 each time. That's just me
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, and I think back to your storyline, the major development. You got to see development out of Jalen Green. He's got shot selection has to get much better. His player efficiency rating has to improve as
Bro,
well.
so I saw a reel on Facebook and they like this one guy asked, "Do you know what his plus minus is like for like total?" Like
I'm sure it's atrocious.
it's minus 966 since he's
Yeah,
been in the league. Like from his rookie year till now, he has a plus minus of negative 966. So it's like you a bucket, but you giving up buckets,
yeah.
plural.
But yeah, Jalen Green can really score. But I think the other thing is, Albergan Sengun is one of those guys who's kind of flown under the radar. But he's kind of like become one of those popular NBA YouTuber guy. Like every NBA YouTuber thinks he's going to break out. And now you have this expectations on you, right? Like people are like, you're going to be like Jokic 2.0 or like a poor man's Jokic. That's a lot of expectation to kind of have to live up to now. Because
Well, the best thing,
I don't know how much NBA YouTube you watch, but like I watch a lot of NBA YouTube, and
the
people
best
like.
thing for
Every
him,
YouTuber thinks that this guy's going to break out.
the best thing for him is he's on the team with literally, like we said, he's been on the team with no expectations. He can go play free. He can show off. He can show off the skill set. He can get the ball off. Like he can get the rebound, push the break, and do all the stuff we've seen foreign bigs now do, like the Jokic's and the Tony Kukocs back in the day, and the Vlade Divac before he got too big to do it. Like it's a common thing over there. Like it's literally like if you're a European big, and I think he's from Turkey. Could be wrong.
That's correct. I'm pretty sure
Okay,
that's right.
so he's Turkish. One thing about European bigs, you're all like you gonna know how to handle that rock and you gonna know how to pass. And you gonna ain't gonna be able to shoot. The only one I've seen that only I swear to God, the only European big I've not seen have a bag, like have a handle, is Dirk. And of course Rudy Gobert because that's just not his thing.
Andre Bagnani wasn't exactly like,
But he was a bucket.
he was.
He was a bucket. Andre
Bagnani gets so much hate for being a bust, but I don't think he's even close to what a bust is.
I don't think he's close to being what a bust is. All right, best case scenario for them play in. You go from 22 wins to the play in.
I think they're gonna be pushing 35 wins. I don't think they'll make the play in.
That's what I said. Best case scenario play in. That's play in.
I don't think you're making the play in tournament if you win 35 games in the Western Conference.
Worst case. No, I'm not saying 35 wins is the play-in. I'm saying like their best case is they win enough games to qualify for the.
I know. I'm just telling you. I don't think they'll win enough games to make the play-in. Their best case scenario, in my opinion, is 35 wins. They up their win total by 15 games.
Okay,
I think that's pretty respectable.
Worst case scenario, I think Dylan Brooks slips back into his old ways, running his mouth, not backing it up. Kevin Porter Jr. gets shipped off. Jalen Green gets shipped off.
Kevin Porter Jr. is going to get released, I think. So
shipped off, released, same thing.
Yeah, I guess.
It really is same thing. And I think the voice of reason that's gonna like real talk the quietest kept the best acquisition they made was adding Jeff Green to this roster.
Yeah, 100%. Guy's a pro knows how to win,
and
knows how to be professional.
And he gonna tell them kids to grow the F up.
And not to mention, Jeff Green has played with the best of the best. He's played with LeBron. He's played with Kevin Durant. There is nobody that is like an upper echelon basketball player that Jeff Green has not shared a locker room.
Like bro,
if you want to be
great,
really
think about that. LeBron, KD, Westbrook, Harden,
yeah,
Jokic, Jamal. Like he's played. Like you name. Like he's spent time in Boston. You name him, he's played with them.
Yeah, like he understands what it means to be all-time great.
Yeah. And again, keep getting them checks.
100%. Worst case scenario, also, yeah, shout out to Jeff Green, finally won his first ring. Man, his NBA story is fascinating. There was at one point where he thought his NBA career was going to be over through that heart condition. He had heart surgery, and now he's an NBA champion. He's a 15-year vet. Maybe even more than 15 years. I don't know how long he's been in the league. It feels like forever.
Him and Kevin Durant are the last 10-year Sonics. Like they're the last two dudes to have played on the Seattle Supersonics when they were still the Seattle Supersonics.
Yep. Worst case scenario for this team, I just don't think this doesn't work. Dylan Brooks kind of continues to do what Dylan Brooks does. Jabari Smith Jr. doesn't take that step forward that many people saw in the summer league. Kind of expectation. Albrun Sengun does not rise to the expectations that he has on and down. Jalen Green's shot selection continues to be woeful at best. Also, Amon Thompson just doesn't develop in his rookie season. We barely even touched on him, but
another best case scenario for me for him is he's rookie of the year candidate.
Yeah, I think they stay right around 20 wins if those things all happen the way we talked about it. I think
if not enough guys buy into Udoka's system or his coaching style, like you got guys on the team that will like again, Van Fleet knows what it's like to be coached hard. He's been coached hard under Nick Nurse, and was he? Yeah, Dwayne. Yeah, he was there when Dwayne Casey was there, right?
100%. Yep.
So yeah, he knows what it's like to be coached hard. Dylan Brooks should. With under why is his name escaping me?
Taylor Jenkins.
He's
also coached by oh my god. I'm gonna have to look this up.
I don't think he was there. I think Taylor Jenkins grew up with that team.
No, what's his name was for sure there. Oh come on, hold on. I gotta have to. Lionel Howard. Yeah, I don't think he would.
No way.
Lionel Howard. Lionel Howard's coached in 2013.
No, I'm legit. Like the only coach,
JB Bickerstaff may have been one season with Dylan Brooks.
I legit think the only coach Dylan Brooks knows is Taylor Jenkins. Taylor Jenkins got the job in
2019. So he goes to 2019-2020 season.
So Dylan Brooks. When did Dylan Brooks get drafted?
Hold on.
I'm looking it up right now. Dylan Brooks got drafted in 2017. So who was it? Like,
So JB Bickerstaff was his first head coach, and then he had Taylor Jenkins, and now he's going to have Ami Udoka. Moving on from this team, let's talk about the final team in this conference, the San Antonio Spurs. Obviously, the big starters there. You got Trey Jones, Devin Vassell, who just cleared himself a nice little bag there out of that draft class, a nice little extension. Keldon Johnson, fresh up playing with the Team USA team that vastly underachieved. And then Victor Wembanyama, the prize of this offseason, they snagged him with the first overall pick. And Zach Collins is still on this team as the starting center. Key reserves, Devontae Graham, Malachi Branham, Jeremy Shochan, Blake Wesley.
They probably got Wembanyama's name already carved into the Rookie of the Year trophy.
I think that's way too soon. Greg Popovich is obviously this coach. He had just signed another extension, so he will be here for a hot minute. 22-60 last season, obviously one of the worst records in the NBA, and ended up winning the draft lottery. Ended up getting Victor Wembanyama. Storylines. I think the biggest storyline when we talk about the San Antonio Spurs is how much are they going to have any kind of restrictions on minutes and games played on Victor Wembanyama? I'm sure they want to get him to the 65 games so he can be eligible for that Rookie of the Year award. But I'll be curious to see how many minutes a game he actually plays, because I think the Spurs understand that they're not probably going to make a playoff burst this season or make a run for anything.
That's my storyline. Have realistic expectations. For the life of me, have realistic expectations.
I think if Victor Wembanyama plays 28 minutes a night and plays 70 games this season, I think that would be a pretty good first season for him.
You said 28 minutes and what else?
70 games.
Yeah, okay. So the thing that we have to look out for him, obviously, is how you handle the physicality, not just the physicality, but the speed of the NBA games. One of his weaknesses, and that was my big concern talking to you and Izzy, is the guy, he's a twig. He can work out all he wants. He's showing they be posting him lifting weights, and I'm like, dude, you're a twig. You're a twig. You do understand that feeble rules don't apply here. You can't just stand in the paint and not play, and that's your defense. You can't just that's your version of defense. No, you gotta guard Jokic. You gotta guard Embiid. You gotta guard Cat. You gotta guard Vucevic. You got to run with Clint Capella when he galloping up and down the damn court. You got you got to guard DeAndre Ayton. You got to bro, you got to play defense. And these dudes are physical. They going to run cuz they hear the hype. They hear the hype. They going to put you out there, and they going to be hey, let's see how you handle. Let's see Joel Embiid literally gonna be let's see how you handle this 280 coming down on you.
Yeah, and so I think if Victor Wembanyama plays 28 minutes a night, because being as lengthy and long as he is, even if he works out, he's only going to really gain so much muscle mass. And I think the other thing that San Antonio really needs to continue to do well is to develop these younger players. I mean, Devin Vassell, he got the extension. Many people are like, who is this guy? But he's gotten better every season so far that he's been in the NBA. Shooting percentage, his efficiency.
I ain't trying to hear that. You got a bad. Hey, I better see your team better not be 22-60.
And they drafted some interesting players last year in the draft. I mean, Malachi Branham was solid as a rookie. Jeremy Shochan was probably the most interesting player in that draft class.
I would start
Shochan.
him. Yeah.
Shochan?
Yeah.
Over Zach Collins?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that. 100%. I think Zach Collins gives you that veteran presence that you don't really have on the rest of the roster outside of Trey Jones, who's an NBA guy his brother plays in the league. He kind of understands how to be a pro. And Devontae Graham is somebody they just picked up as a salary dump.
Yeah, he's been he's what was it? Charlotte, then New Orleans. Now he's here. Yeah,
it was a straight up salary dump from. I don't even remember the deal that was involved where he ended up.
Is that when did they get Jetty Osman? They got Jetty Osman.
Yeah, he's on the depth chart. I don't know.
Well, all right then. No, obviously, I would start Jeremy Shochan over Zach Collins. So again, season storyline is what you said. Have realistic expectations. this is not the same scenario where you got first overall
Tim
pick
Duncan.
and you got Tim Duncan
He went
and
to the
you went
finals.
and you won. Like that team literally had
The only reason that happened is because David Robinson got hurt and didn't play that season, and then you ended up with Tim Duncan in your lap, and we're like, okay, well, perfect.
like there's no admiral
Like
on this team.
there's no David Robinson on this roster. Like he's not there.
Like,
It's
it's just not happening.
You also want to continue to see the growth of these players, and I also think you want to be careful not to burn out Victor Wembanyama. He's not used to playing as much as he's about to play in the NBA. So,
God, no.
And
he kind of touched on that. He kind of touched on that when they had the showcase against the G League at night. So they was trying to showcase him and Scoot Henderson.
Yeah,
and he said the one thing he struggled with was the tempo, playing 8-9 minute stretches.
Yeah.
That's alarming. Like
but you got to be careful with him. I also think the Spurs are going to be on TV a ton, so we'll get an opportunity to actually watch them, even though they have no business being on TV. But I think they'll be on TV a lot.
See, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like they got the rookie, they got his name engraved on the trophy already.
And I also don't think the Spurs should try to prioritize pushing him to win that award if it hurts his development in the end. But yeah, best case scenario for the Spurs, I think they're a 30-win team. I just don't see them being a play-in team. I know I kind of.
You're muted. I think you muted yourself on accident.
Oh, is this? Okay.
Yeah. You were talking and then you muted yourself.
Anyway, so the best case scenario, I joked about this a little bit. That I think they could have been a play-in team when they first got Victor Wembanyama, and I kind of came to my senses and actually looked at the roster. I was like, yeah, no,
this is not a good roster.
They're a 30-win team. I think the worst case scenario for the San Antonio Spurs is they're right about what they were last season, 22-60. We just need to see consistent development from these guys. It's not really about wins or losses because it's not about that point at this point in their development. They just have to see their players continue to get better.
Yeah, I'm more curious as to how long Pop is going to do this thing, man.
I mean, he signed a 5-year extension, so I mean, imagine.
Like Pop, ain't you damn near 80, bro? Like seriously,
he's getting up there.
Getting up there, right? Like no, seriously. Hey, dude, coach to your heart's desire is full. You earned.
He's 74, so I think he might be the oldest coach in all of sports. I think because he's older than Bill Belichick, he's older than Pete Carroll. I'm pretty sure he's the oldest head coach in all of professional sports.
I think it's some baseball managers that might got him, but I ain't finna look that up right now.
I mean, maybe. I mean, how old is Dusty Baker?
Oh, hey.
Dusty Baker is 74 years old too.
Okay, so okay.
Pop is actually older by like a couple months.
Oh damn. Yeah. So all right, best case, like you 30 wins, 35 at the most, like just because somebody you already know how it is. Like somebody gonna come in, they gonna underestimate them, and they gonna beat them. Just like we see it every night. Like when we say any given, like how we say in football, any given Sunday. Well, any given night in the NBA, you can get buckets from anybody.
Yep.
Like remember when Corey Brewer went out for 50 points? Like bro, like that's the most random 50-point game in NBA history.
Terrence Ross has got a couple of those in his resume too. Like he might have the
Corey Brewer going for 51 for the Minnesota Timberwolves when they were like the bottom of the barrel is like super random. Like that's just worst case scenario is Wemby gets hurt. Knock on wood, not wishing injury. He gets hurt because again he's gonna experience a game that he hasn't been open to. It's faster than what he's used to. It's more physical than what he's used to. And nah, bro, you ain't finna get the calls that you think you're finna get. They finna beat your ass physically. Like
that's true.
Like you gonna get some shots to the ribs that the refs ain't gonna see because you playing with dudes that know how to hide the shots to the ribs that you finna get. So if you see Wembanyama hurled over on the court trying to catch his L, that's what happened.
Yeah, have you seen that meme that's making the rounds around the internet about that 2K meme, the video?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like,
have you seen that? Have you seen the video that I'm talking about, where he's just spinning around the rim?
He's just spinning around.
I also would not expect that out of Victor Wembanyama this season. But yeah, that's been our Southwest Division preview. Let us know what you think about our takes down in the comments section. This has been Prime Sports World. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Also, shout out to Sergio, my good friend Mendez, for checking us out at YouTube. We appreciate that. But yeah, I'm David Huffman. Right there is my co-host, Mr. TJ Hopkins, and we'll be back here on Monday breaking down the National Football League for you guys. Also, there's a wrestling pay-per-view tonight, so hopefully you guys all get to enjoy that and watch that. I have sent my predictions to a couple places, so you go check that stuff out. And TJ, what do we do here on the Prime, my friends?
We bring the heat. Are you gonna be able to watch the pay-per-view?
No,
or are you gonna be able
I have to go to work.
You gotta catch the replay.
I probably will have to. I'll probably just read the whatever happens. So
No, just catch the replay. Don't spoil it for yourself.
We'll see. But I probably won't get off work till like after midnight. So it's a whole thing. Yeah. But yeah, we'll be back here tomorrow. You guys all or on Monday. You guys all take safe and have a good weekend. Peace out.